But once in a while, I will sort of get on a focused tangent. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I want to ask you about is here we are speaking with you. You have been through a lot. How have you been able to navigate the waters of overcoming challenges, stay focused to your passion, right? And then decide, I'm going to write a book and get out and talk to like a million people. How did you come to do that?
I think
Love
that
when you, I love the pause right there because I'm hanging on the edge of my seat right there. Danah, go ahead.
I think when you go to sleep at night and when you wake up in the morning and you have like this itch of something that you have and you're not really sure what it is, but when you do it or when you feel like it's something, and as you get closer to it, your body goes like, yes, 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 that's it. And I think sometimes I'm like, what is it? What is it that I really want to do? I still ask that question. So for all of you out there that think that when you've written the book, when you've done the thing you want to do, you're still going to be like, what is it that I really want to do? And all I know is that my heart, my whole body, like, and it's funny, I smiled when you're asking me the question because I'm really going through that now with the pandemic happening and having to help my family a lot. It's been really tough for me to balance like being there for others and being there for myself and like understanding how to do this. And we have some exciting news because my book is going to be relaunched next year. So we have like an exciting new chapter that's going to be launched in the relaunch. So I'm working on that as well. And it's like, well, what is it that I really want? Like, what do we want from life? What is worth? Like, you could have the biggest castle, you could have everything, but what is it that's going to really light you up? What's going to make you feel satisfied with yourself? And all I can tell you is awakening, like feeling like you've inspired a spark of curiosity in someone else is a thing that most gives me, like, that makes me like feel that there's nothing else in life. Like, and then getting messages or connection from people saying, I never knew that this was so simple. I never knew that this could be so easy. Like, I'm a different person. I go to the bathroom every day. I'm a different person. Like, and having that, like, oh my God, this is so simple. It's like you can't go to bed at night. You can't, you're itchy until you do what you got to do. And I started to feel this urge to write a book when I was actually studying at university. I wanted to write. I was always writing. And I lived in Portugal and I would travel to London, like 3 times a year, like for 4 months, like at a time, to study. And then I would come back at the holidays or whatever. And every time I was in the airplane, I would write and write and write. I didn't even know what was coming out of me, but it was like when there's this energy of motion that just flows through you, it's kind of like you have to do it. And some people are like, oh, so how many books have you sold? And I'm like, well, it's not about how many books I sell. It's not about the result. It's really about the process. And I think you get that as you get older, because when you're young, you want results, results, results. Obviously, results are amazing because when you have a result, you know that you're getting somewhere, but it might not be the result that you imagined for yourself at first when you began. So to answer your question, like, where did I get the force? I think the force comes from inside of you. And as long as you're connected with yourself, as long as you're not anesthesiated,
let's just say drugged.
As long as you're drugging yourself with anything, even if it's food. A lot of people drug themselves, they anesthesize themselves with food. They numb themselves, numbing. Okay, so as long as you're not numbed by like very highly processed junk food, a lot of sugar, drugs, alcohol, antidepressants, any kind of thing that's gonna change the chemistry in your body, and you really fight to be connected with yourself, you will have that flame, that energy that flows through you, whether it's painting, whether it's writing, whether it's teaching, whether it's whatever it is. And I think we need to have courage to be able to listen to that. And by all means, don't quit your day job because you feel like you like writing and you want to become a writer. Like, it's not about doing that all the time. It's not about making your main income that. It's really about finding balance. And I mean, I could do a whole talk only about that. But I'm also reading a book that I absolutely love by Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. It's beautiful. So
It's
good.
totally beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, let's talk about this because thank you for that answer because you hit about 15 different things that normally it takes somebody an hour to do. But that's what I know about you. One of the things I love about that I carry forward, I was asked a question the other day, and you're going to laugh about this a little bit, is when somebody was listening to the show and they were hearing what we're doing and we're hearing, after 4 years, a complete rewrite of software for us and our technology is finished, and what the impact is that's going to be. So a lot of times what people hear is, well, the impact of that is, what is the impact of that, Pat? Oh, you're going to do this and you're going to grow and you're going to do this. The impact for us is we didn't build this just so we can say we built it. The impact is to reach as many people as we can with messages of hope, with solutions, with possibilities, with inspiration, and potential action they can take. That's
Like
why
hoo-ha.
that's why
Hell
we're
yeah.
doing
Like,
it. I mean, who in the world spends hundreds of thousands of dollars buying airtime because as a hobby? You don't. But here's the thing I love that you say. And I think that this is a disease. This is your quote. Ready? I like real and down to earth. You must have Capricorn because that ain't a Sagittarian. Just saying. I love to dance or boogie and do so anywhere in public just for fun and to get out of my comfort zone. You and I, we ought to do something like that. Although now, this age of my life, I will keep my clothes on. And because I believe this is it. This was my answer. When somebody asked me this the other day, I just literally stole this from you. Because I believe that staying in your comfort zone for too long can kill you. So when I was asked about this, about why are you doing it, man, what are you doing? Like now you're writing a book and now you're doing that. And dude, you should just be like I'm like, no, I'm doing it so that I don't want to stay in my comfort zone too long because it will kill me. Talk to that,
wow.
please.
Oh my God. I'm
I
so
never had a
honored.
good answer for people. I didn't have a good answer. I mean, I would always try to be like, well, let me explain why I'm doing it. And then you talk to yourself and people look at you and say, that doesn't make sense. Now I just say, yeah, this is what Danah says. I'm saying what she says because that's it. Talk to that thing right there.
Oh my God, I'm so honored. I'm so happy that I've given you an answer to like stand up for yourself. Like
10 years of that question. And I had not had a good answer. 10 years. Every year I get asked that question by family, friends, people around me. And I've never had this answer. But the reality of this, Anna, is that it's true. It really is true, right? This comfort zone, this thing that we think about as a comfort zone, it's not a comfort zone at all. I don't know about you, but anytime I've sort of been in my comfort zone, it has not felt good.
But it's good to actually clarify what that actually means for our listeners,
Yeah,
because
please.
a lot of us think that, like, and I actually talked about this on another interview that I had, which is like people confuse the concept of pleasure and suffering to be opposites. And that in life you shouldn't suffer ever. Like suffering is terrible and we shouldn't suffer and we should do everything to have joy and pleasure all the time. But I don't think that life is only about, like, we are an expansive and contractive organism. We are constantly growing our spirit, everything. So it's all about waves and about movement. And there are moments where you contract and you need that time to then be able to expand. And it's like this movement. And suffering is not, it's like, it's a color. It's something that you pass through where you're supposed to get bigger. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Or like, for example, just to give you guys an example, this is the way I live life. I got bitten by a wasp yesterday for the first time in my life. I was pretty freaked out because I didn't know if I had any kind of allergic reaction or what was going to happen in the next few hours. And so I stayed calm and I put ice on it and I kind of looked up some stuff that I should do. And I just did those things and I just continued with my normal day. But when I got home, I was like, what does this mean? It wasn't just like, oh, poor me, I got, like, what does this mean? Why did I get, what is a wasp? So I was like, okay, what is the symbolism of ancient, like, wisdom of a wasp? And what does this mean? And it's my right leg, and where it was on my Achilles, it's like on my Achilles. So it's like, what does that mean? And that's like a very symbolic place. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? So it's like, instead of us being the victim in any situation in life, there's always, even if it's your mom driving you mad, your mom is not going to change. You're the one who has to change. You're the young one. You're the one that has to still live your life. So it's like, we always have an opportunity to learn. When we have a relationship with someone that we don't like, why did we attract this kind of person? It doesn't mean we have to stay in it, but why did we attract? What did that person bring us as a gift? There's always an opportunity to learn in every situation. So it's about our perspective. It's not about going through suffering. It's really like, okay, what am I going to get out of this? And I kind of love all kinds of relationships. Every relationship I ever get into, I'm always like, wow, this is a complicated person. Awesome. What am I going to learn from this? Like, I know I'm not going to stay with him forever, but what am I going to learn? Or like, whatever it is, like if there's a friend and there's a situation, it's like, okay, what can I learn from this? So I think first we need to understand that suffering is not bad. It's not like where your hands are being cut off and you're bleeding. That is not what we're talking about. It's about like something that happens in your body where you have to be bigger than you think you are. And this pandemic helped a lot of us understand that, like, during this pandemic, for people to get through it, we had to kind of drag out of ourselves something we thought we didn't even have, like a capacity of dealing with a situation far greater than we knew that we were capable of doing. When you give birth, you suffer, but after that, it's like, what the hell just happened? And you change as a person. So suffering, I think, first has to be taken out of the like negative box, and it should be looked more like an opportunity. We're not wanting to suffer, but the concept of going through challenges, being faced through challenges. Cristiano Ronaldo, he's a Portuguese fellow friend of mine. Well, he's not a friend. Well,
Oh, he's a friend. You mentioned his name. He better dang be a friend. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
he's like, world player. And like, I like what he wrote the other day is like, our success is not like defined by what we achieve. It's defined by the obstacles that we overcome. And so suffering should be actually like nicely in a box with obstacles and overcoming challenges. So when you overcome a challenge, it's hard, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's where you're going to grow and you're going to get stronger, and everything good in life is going to come from that. So it's really about like, okay, wow, I'm going to challenge. How am I going to make this challenge as exciting and fun as possible? And that's where the word joy comes in. And that's what this whole little conversation, just to talk about getting out of our comfort zone and having joy all along. So, wow, I'm in a challenging situation. I'm going to have fun in this challenging situation. So I'm going to learn. It's going to be hard. There's going to be some suffering. But at the time, I'm going to make chocolate chip cookies and I'm going to have fun doing it. And it's a difficult time, but we're going to have a party doing it. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to get stronger. If you're in a relationship, you're going to get stronger. Your relationship is going to get stronger when it goes through the challenge. You both are actually going to be closer than you were before if you get through the challenge. As a family, if you go through a challenge, usually a lot of like, if someone dies in the family, it brings people together because people get stronger when they get through a challenge together. So coming back to the comfort zone, a lot of people think that when life is perfect and everything is comfortable, that's great. But in fact, that's not great, because you're not actually growing as a person. And if you're not growing, then the question is, what are we doing here? And that comes to, our beliefs and everything. Now, I believe that we should all be here having like enjoying life fullest all the time, but growth has to go hand in hand with that. And it just feels so much better, because most people that you talk to that are in their comfort zone eventually get onto meds. And when I say meds, like some kind of antidepressants. And Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are all proved to come from the fact that we stop using our brain. So our body is made to be in constant usage and constant challenge. And when I say challenge, it's like, okay, it's raining today, but I really don't feel like going outside. Why don't you feel like going outside? Oh, because I feel sad. Okay, well, if you feel sad, then you should challenge yourself and get yourself out. No, because I'm really tired and I need to sleep. Okay, well, listen to your body. So it's not like there's not a formula. And this is what I teach. People are like, what should I do? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to teach you how to listen to yourself. And the first chapter of my book is listen to your body. And it could be a whole chapter only on that. And I find that it is the most important, like my courses, the courses that I give, my online courses, the first class is only about listening to your body. And it's incredible because most of my students will have achieved 80% of their challenges, of all their objectives, in the first, by the, like after 6 days of the first class only. And they haven't changed any food habits. They haven't done any shopping. They've only become aware of their body. And
Yeah,
it's
you know why
like,
that is? Here, let me tell you why that is. Not that you asked my opinion, by the way, but let me just give you a sense, because since the last time we chatted and rereading your book again, a light bulb went on for me. I mean, look, you're a certified health educator. You are somebody that is out there. You and I are probably way up on the optimism scale in a lot of things, and yet we've had challenges and still do. But one of the things I realized when I read this, and I'm so glad you mentioned this about the people that you work with and that how they achieve objectives just by doing this one thing. Do you know what I learned about this? There's a reason we don't listen to our bodies. And it's because we are scared to death of what we might find out. And part of it is we're not like working in a space that says you're listening to your body so that you can make this positive movement, positive change. You can look and adjust. You can hear your body and acknowledge it and give it. And, you know, that to me is if you talk to people and ask them, why have I not gotten a blood test? Or if you talk to people and they are feeling really fatigued and you say, well, do you think maybe you should check in with where that's happening? This is the place, and this is your part of your work and my work. The hardest thing for me to do in my life was to face myself. Really, to face myself. 1989 was the first time I really faced myself. And I don't know what got me there. I talk about being taken over by an alien, right? I do believe it was my creator, spiritual universe, whatever you want to call it, that grabbed me and said, I'm going to give you another chance to really look and change. I want to ask you this question. You and I have been through challenges. I've listed them. I did a show the other day where I just rifled through the first 21 years of my life. And then I went back and I said, this is what I've learned from it. I don't think we're given obstacles or challenges because there's nothing that the universe has to do other than really put us through that. I don't think that's it. But somebody asked me a question the other day and they said, I don't know. I didn't have your life. Like my mom didn't commit suicide. Nobody beat me in Catholic school. I don't think I had any challenges. And I looked at them and here's what I said. And I want to ask you the same question. I said, really? I said, so tell me about like when you were born and you like saw your parents like walking around standing up on two legs and there you were like this little teeny baby and you're thinking, dang, I need to get up and be like the big people. And you tried to do it and you grabbed onto something and then you fell on your bum. Then you tried again and then you cried. Dude, that's a challenge. You're walking today. You overcame it. What the heck are you talking about? And so we forget that challenges don't have to be my mom committed suicide. They could be other things. How do we capture the lessons, Danah? How do we do that? Your
it's
book, not only the beginning of the book, but we're going to talk about the rest of it. These are some of the changes that you have done all the hard work for us that we can make. We can pick one, we could pick 10, we could pick none. But isn't this a direct factor of looking at ourselves in the mirror and caring enough about ourselves to do whatever we need to do to heal so that we can create the life we're meant to have?
it's a lot of good questions you're asking there. I'm like, I need like an hour to answer here. The first thing that I want to say is that when I was young, if I look back now and I've done that, like similar to, I don't feel like I had a lot, like, okay, I lost my eyesight, but I never looked at that like, okay, if I look at it now, I'm like, but when I was living, I was fine. I was doing my thing. I was like this warrior, just nothing would stop me. But I used to put myself in situations that people are like, are you serious? Like I would do things to myself, not physically. Like I would, okay, so I'll give you guys an example. So you're not in the, but I wanted to learn French better. So like I didn't just take French classes. I was like, I'm gonna go and study in France in the summer at a basketball camp because I played basketball. And I was like, at least I'll be able to play basketball, but I'm gonna go to a place that people only speak French. And when I got there, I was like, what is wrong with my brain? Like, what the hell am I doing here? Can't even speak to anyone. And I would do that to myself constantly, put myself in situations where I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. Like I would travel alone, like 18 years old to Brazil and like not have arranged where I was actually exactly going to be staying. But I was like, I kind of want to have that experience of like not knowing. And okay, in a safe place, like I knew people there and whatever. So it wasn't the end of the world. But so I'm not saying like go in and drop yourself in the middle, but it's like controlled risk, if that makes sense. It's like you're putting yourself in a safe space where you feel uncomfortable. So for example, I prescribe people to go to dance classes to get them out of their comfort zone. Oh, I'm not going to go and ask someone to dance. I'm not going to dance with someone else like a salsa or Latin dances or whatever. No way. Oh my God. Those kind of things. So we're not talking about like, okay, now you have to go backpacking in Guatemala on your own no, you don't have to go and do something that you feel like you're going to suffer. But it's about putting yourself in situations where you might normally be embarrassed to do. You might be shy to do them. You'd never go and do that. Oh my God, you'd never see me do that. Do those things. I'd love to sing at a karaoke bar, but I would die. Okay, go and do it, and go do it alone. Don't tell anyone. Go and do it on your own. Like do things that create adrenaline in you, but that are safe. I'm not talking about going and like don't go and bungee jump and skydive. I'm not talking about the radical, kind of cliche things that we were talking about. I'm talking about small things like go and tell your mom that you're sorry. Go and thank her. Go and thank her for everything she gave you. Find that place in yourself. I'm not going to go say thank you. Like it's normal. Like parents give things that, well, do you feel grateful? Okay. So it's like find the courage in yourself to do something that you might just normally not do. Tell them someone how much you like them. Tell a friend of yours how much you appreciate her friendship. Like put yourself out there, not expecting anything in return, and just to make an effort to get yourself out of your comfort zone. You will grow, you will change, your body will have experiences that you would never have expected. Do things like that you would not normally not do. And again, I'm going to repeat because this is, people can interpret any way they want, but I'm not talking about dangerous things. And I'm not talking about things like drastic, like quit your job and or you don't have like a planned, I'm talking about like safe, but where you feel uncomfortable. So like, oh, I really want to go to the cinema, but I have no one to go with. Go alone. I'm not going to go to the cinema alone. Why not? Like it'll change the way you think about life. These are tiny, tiny, small things. Oh, I'd love to be vegetarian, but I wouldn't. Like my family is going to think, or my friends are going to make fun of me. Okay, well, plan it and try it. Like try things that you normally wouldn't do. If you really always wanted to travel alone, fine. Like I used to do that as an adolescent. So I was a teenager and I would travel on my own, but to safe environments. So like a camp, but I would go alone. So I didn't know anyone. And I was like 13 years old, 14 years old. Like there are not a lot of kids that would do that to themselves,
Yeah, let me tell you something. I am such an introvert. The idea of going to camp alone, that is right up my alley. The idea of going in a karaoke bar and singing in front of a bunch of people, holy you know what. But I got to tell you, we need to pick a song so Benny can get the song and like me and you can sing off key because I cannot hold a note. Hey, maybe we'll get the music video song that I was in because that was something outrageous. That was this thing for me. We're going to talk about getting out of the comfort zone because I don't talk about this music video much because I almost didn't go, right? But then I thought, oh boy, What is she saying about the comfort zone? We're going to take a short break and we come back. What does being out of the comfort zone do? And then let's fill in the blank for this next part, because this is the part that I didn't get. There is a level of care for ourselves, and there are things we can learn. And what Danah has done in her book and in her work, Shine Brighter Every Day, is this is a way for you to pick. So let me just say one thing when we come back. Even if you look at the table about alkaline and acid, even if you look at that in the book and you're like, oh, what is she saying? Oh, wait a minute. I might be able to eat this and maybe not eat this for a week. See, that is a thing out of the comfort zone. That right there. So when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the moments we've had out of our comfort zones, what they've looked like. Some are really hilarious. I mean, seriously hilarious. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to share it. I just embarrassed myself thinking about the first time I boogie boarded in Hawaii. That was embarrassing. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
All clear.
When we come back, I want to make sure people know how to find out information about you. Thank you, Benny. And I love this conversation because this is a conversation for our time, right? And I want to sort of build on the next part of this, that when you make a decision sometimes to step out of your comfort zone, you've got to have a plan to build some resilience. I don't know about you, but it sounds easy, right? Like boogie boarding, like getting in Hawaii. And honestly, let me tell you, Waikiki, like that is not, there's no waves at Waikiki. So they put me in the Waikiki because I don't swim, but I love the water. And so we get in a Waikiki, right? And I spent a lot of time in Hawaii, right? My former partners from Hawaii spent a lot of time on all the islands. Love them.
That's funny. I just in brackets, that's where I started writing.
That's where I got my inspiration, right? To build the network.
Really?
I spent a month
I
there.
was on Kona when I was 16. I went to Kona on my own.
Ooh.
Swimming with dolphins. I love dolphins.
Exactly. I'm not a dolphin. I got the turtles.
Oh man. And I was like, I need paper. I need paper. I needed paper. I need to go buy paper. Like all of that started. Anyway, sorry, interrupted you. No. We're not back on yet, right? Are you gonna
No, we're not back on. What is like a song? Like, do you have a favorite song?
Me? A song to sing?
No, but do you have a favorite song? All of my songs are depressing. Like Creep by Radiohead, or maybe Pink Floyd, the most depressing album ever made, but the most brilliant, Dark Side of the Moon. Do you have like a song that you like?
That I love?
I don't know. Like, I think you're a little like me if you have that Sagittarius. So you probably. I love
like Otis Redding and Aretha Franklin and
Dock of the Bay.
Yeah, like all of the old soul.
And like you like that one?
And I like Michael Jackson, like when he, Jackson 5 and Track of My Tears. I love like I'm like an old soul in music. I love.
You really are. You really are.
The old.
Yeah.
I like.
Funny story. I did actually go out and learn Latin. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but what happened with the boogie boarding though? What happened with the boogie boarding?
Oh my God. I'll tell the story when we come back.
Okay.
It didn't stop me. It didn't stop me.
Okay, but the thing is, like, I'm just a little worried. Like, that's why on the show I keep on saying that, like, it doesn't mean quit your job. Like,
no, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
It's not about, it's really about creating, like, it's like you said, like, just trying a vegetable that you would never try. Try something you don't do normally.
I don't know. Look, I've shared the story of me quitting my job after 24 and a half years. I didn't really quit, but I caused enough of a ruckus to really make everybody pissed at me. It was time to go. It was time to go.
Yeah, but you probably had a saving account. Did you have a plan?
Let me just be really clear. I am a quadruple Sagittarian. I had no bleeping plan. I knew I wanted to go back to school. I went back to school. I moved to Seattle. I applied for a graduate program. I got accepted after a year in a graduate program. I had no money for tuition. I put it on my credit cards. I paid for my room, my board, my books off of my credit cards. Then I found out there were student loans.
Ready to come back in?
Yeah.
All right, stand by.
Streets. This is for the weak. If you're feeling down.
Yeah. That's the song. I was in the music video.
Really?
No kidding, right?
Awesome. Check it out.
Look, before we get started, how do people find out about you? How do they get a copy of the book? Because I do want to talk about, and I said this to you last time. I've never seen a more brilliant way to talk about important things, clear, concise, inviting, acknowledging a people than what you've done in this book. When I first got the book, I thought, wow. And then I read it, and it's like you connect all the dots in a way, by the way, that people can start, take a piece, take another piece. And that's not the case with a lot of books. A lot of books are like, yeah, you got to do this, eat the whole elephant. And actually, you don't recommend doing that. But there's a process that has love behind it. And that's what I want to acknowledge in who you are and what you do for people. How do people get a copy of the book? And then how do they find out more about you?
Okay, so anyway, first of all, I just want to say thank you for saying that. It's hard for us to receive. It's hard for me to receive compliments or any kind of. So thank you. So my name is spelled quite uniquely. It's Danah. So it's like Danah. It's an Israeli name, Danah, and my last name is Mor. So like on the book at the bottom of the book, Danah. Yeah. And so my website is that. So it's www.danahmor.com. And you can learn a little bit more about me, read my story, and find out how you can do a course or an online program with me or private sessions as well. And the book is also like the links for Amazon. Right now, the book is available in the US, in the UK, and in Australia in stores. So you can try a store nearby, like Barnes and Nobles or any of those kind of stores in London and in UK and Waterstones. But otherwise, you can order it online on Amazon and on all kinds of platforms that sell books. So, and it's called Shine Brighter Every Day. And if you put in my name, I'm the only Danah Moore in the whole world. So I'm like, wow, I'm so unique.
Yeah, and there's a reason why. And we're going to talk about this because, you know, the first part of the show, we talked about sort of the underpinnings for why change is important and how to go about them. And, you know, this idea of obstacles. And, you know, I did a half-hour skit, like a stand-up on
Really?
that little bit I did with you about the baby walking. I literally did a half-hour stand-up on that in front of an audience once. Because people were so like, dude, we don't have your story. We were not homeless. We were not arrested for something we did. And I decided, yeah, people are not relating to me. So let's talk about walking. Then let's talk about talking. And then that goes in. So here's what I want to say. I love this comfort zone thing. So let's give people an example. So here I am, a girl from New York. I'm in a relationship with somebody from Hawaii. All my friends now are Hawaiian. We're in Hawaii. One of my friends taught the Hawaiian language Kamehameha school. So here I am. All of a sudden I come off the plane and I'm like breathing the Hawaiian air and I'm like, oh my God, I've come home. Really? Love the water, can't swim. Boom. But I love the water. You can't get me out of the water. Never had the experience of like the boogie boarding thing where you get on the little board, right? And you paddle out and then you like come in with the wave. So we get up like super early in the morning and this is like my first experience. And they're like, oh, wait a minute, dude, you cannot go. No, we're not going to go to the North Shore. We're going to go to Waikiki with you because like teeny weeny baby waves. So we're all lined up. My friends are all supportive and they're all waiting on the shoreline and out. I'm paddling. And I go out and I'm out there. And then the little wave comes in and I'm riding in and I'm coming in and I made it. And I stand up and my friends are cheering and they're laughing. I lost the top half of my suit.
Serious? So it was like their lucky day, more to say. It wasn't yours, it was their lucky day. I'm always like, well, whoever sees it, lucky day for them. Like,
so here's what my Hawaiian friends, here's what they did. This is so perfect. So the culture, right? These folks, my friends, grew up pretty much no shoes, pretty much skinny diving.
Oh my God.
So this they considered a super rite of passage for me.
Oh. I love
Now,
that story.
but that is like one thing that led to a comfort zone. But here's the key for this for me, and this I would like you to talk to. For somebody like me who grew up in the environment I grew up and had the level of abuse I had as a child, not having your clothes on in public is one of the greatest challenges one can have. And I love the way the universe did that, because after that point, I don't think I kept my shirt on, to be honest with you. But I'm sorry. But the reason I'm bringing this up is these are moments we get, and what we do with them can help us grow, or what we do with them can hold us back. If our body fails us, right?
Said the word.
You're
Said the
trying to
word.
laugh. If the body fails us, we have an opportunity to change what we put in it. And we're going to talk about that today. But you see, I could have taken that experience and went to guilt and shame. And if I'd have been around people in a not safe environment, like you said, but dude, these people like had about 5 different lays and they kind of put them on me. And I got to tell you, I didn't put my shirt on because I got the lay on. It was cool. But we don't always have to do something like that to make progress, do we?
We don't at all. But what you said the words, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna underline those words. It's our choice. It's really our choice how we perceive. Life is not about what you have and what happens to you. It's about how you perceive and how you live through what you have. So like you said, there are a lot of people that don't have many problems or issues. And I know a lot of people that are have had quite an easygoing life, but they're not happy and they're in their comfort zones and they don't know what to do to get out of their comfort zones. Everything doesn't feel like it's worth it. It's not worth it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. So it's really about, how do you want to live each moment? How do you want to be the driver of this experience in this moment? You know, you could watch the sunset and be like, well, I'm really sad because the day's over. Or you can be like, wow, look at those colors. Look at what happens. I can't wait till tomorrow. It's really about, you know, and I actually know someone that doesn't like the sunset. He thinks it's sad. So in that sense, it's really like when you're sad and you're feeling down, ask yourself, and this is a tool, a practical tool, ask yourself, how is the perspective that I'm having helping me? And could I be having a different perspective that could actually help me feel more excited? So just to give you guys an example, like I've been robbed. I have traveled the world and I was never robbed. I was young traveler. I started traveling when I was like 12 years old. I never got robbed ever. I went to all kinds of places, Brazil. I was in Tel Aviv on my own, like walking home, no issues. I was in different parts of Brazil, in different parts of the States, in all over the world. And I never got robbed ever. I lived in London in grungy areas. People are like, you live in Elephant and Castle? I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, you just need to. And I was like, no one's going to come around me. Like I've made a decision. On my street in the center of Lisbon, like where I'm home, where I'm and it's super safe, I get robbed. They broke into my car. It was like 10 seconds anyway. And I was so upset. I felt so violated. And I almost went into like this deep tunnel of like a hole. Like they robbed my computer, my iPad. It had part of my work that I had written on it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this negative stress into a positive stress. This is going to stress me, but positively. Like, what am I going to get out of this? Stop. I'm not going there. I'm not going into this negative, vicious cycle. And I made a decision, like, what is it you want out of this? What is this going to make you do? What is this going to push you to do? Whatever it is you're going to do. So life can always be taken on like in two complete, like you got a coin, you can choose what side of the coin you want to experience anything. So that's like a practical tool that if you can remember when you're feeling sad, it can help you like, okay, what can I get out of this? How can I look at this in a positive way? And I tell you something, you will lose the weight. You will lose weight because it takes more calories. It takes more energy to be positive than it is to be negative. Much more energy. It's much harder to wake up in the morning and make an effort to feel good. It's easy to feel negative. It's easy. All you have to do is turn on the TV and you'll get depressed. So it's really, you need to put effort into it to want to feel positive and great. But to go on to the second thing that you were asking, Pat, about making small changes. You don't have to go to Hawaii and try to do boogie board. You don't have to go traveling around the world on your own. You don't have to go build homes for homeless in Africa. You don't have to do like extravagant. It's tiny things. Like I said, try a new dance class. Wake up in the morning and make a connection with yourself. Like, I'm going to start exercising in the morning, or I'm going to go and walk with a friend, even though I know she's much fitter than me and I feel super horrible in my outfit that I'm going to go walk in. But it's like, or I'm going to try a vegetable that I've never tried before, or I'm going to actually try and cook this, even though I hate cooking, or my sister's a chef and I suck at cooking, but I'm going to try this anyway. All these bad thoughts that we have, all the excuses. And, you know, there's someone else that says an amazing saying, which I love. It's like, if it's important to you, you'll do it. If it's not, you'll make an excuse. And so it's basically like, if something's not that important to you, then you will make an excuse. But if it's important to you, you'll actually make time. And it's just a choice. It's a choice. But these little choices to get out of your comfort zone is so small as, I'm going to try to make a smoothie tonight, and I'll have it in the morning because I know that I don't have time in the morning. So it's not going, that excuse is not going to work for me because I'll make it at night. Oh, but I don't like the taste. Well, I'll make sure I like the taste. So it's like, have an answer for your addiction to sabotage. Have an answer for it. Be a smartass with your sabotage.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah.
The addiction to sabotage. I got to pull that quote out. I love that. I love that. We could do a whole show on our personal addiction to sabotage, right? We could talk about that. But, you know, here's the thing I love about what you just said too. And you're right about it. I mean, how did I end up in Hawaii boogie boarding, right? Really kind people, a series of events, being unemployed, being a student in school, and all the good things that people had for me. But I have to tell you this. I have a handful of people in my life that I have loved, and I love to this day. I have never experienced unconditional love the way I have from Linda and her mom and dad. And Linda, you know Linda, right? Linda is the one that got you on the show here today. My best friend since 1972. She has seen the worst of me. And I think she said to me, is waiting, like, and she's from Jersey. So if you hear Linda talk, you know, she's seen the worst of me and she still loves me. I think she's like, and I'm waiting for the best of you. When are you going to have that handled? But you gotta love the triple Virgos, folks. But this is about stopping and trying to withhold the judgment of other people's energy, voices, and messaging. Because that baby, and I really did do that. I do a half-hour stand-up comedy routine on that. That baby story. The baby doesn't think, damn, these people are trying to sabotage my good because they don't give me anything to hold up on. Have you ever seen a baby determined to stand and the parents move everything out of sight? Have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen a baby do this? I actually do a stand-up and I demonstrate how this looks.
Oh, how can I watch that? How can I I want to see that.
Oh my God. I haven't gotten out of my comfort zone to actually record it. So maybe you're going to push me. But can you imagine a little baby, right? Have you seen this? Like I was telling my friend, dude, why are you moving all the stuff for him to like grab onto? I don't want him to like grab. Well, how are they going to grab? So you watch the little baby and the little baby is watching you stand and somehow they know, dude, I'm supposed to stand because I don't like sitting here and crawling around. And so when you watch the baby do that, they will go to any length to try to rise up. Have you ever seen a baby do that?
Well, my sister has a baby that's 1 year and 2 months. So like I had the privilege of watching this recent moments of his life.
All right. So here's my question for you. Because if people get your book, I don't care what page they go to in your book. I happen to be stuck on the alkaline page today. But it doesn't matter what they do. Linda and I were told by Mary Jane Mack the other day, a couple of weeks ago, we need to get your body in balance. And I'm not going to go into the details of that. But part of it was You need to drink more water. It's the hardest thing for Linda to do. But what I love about my best friend, she was given a daunting task to take care of her kidneys, me too, gallbladder, and make changes without compromise. I never thought she'd do it. She did it. And it reminds me, Danah, what we're capable of. And I want to ask you this question. We are living in unprecedented times. How can you remind us of what we truly are capable of?
It's a really good question. The first thing I can say is that I don't think we know our capacity. So consciously, we don't know what our capacity is. Okay. And like, I love this story, and maybe I should just tell it really quickly here.
Yeah.
And it's in my introduction. I think it's somewhere. No, it's in the chapter, You Are What You Think. It's such an amazing story. So in India, they tie an elephant when it's a baby to a tree when it's with a huge chain, a massive, mega, huge, massive, super strong chain. And it pulls and it tugs away and it tries to get away and it does everything like the baby trying to get up. It knows it has the right to be free. It came to this world for free. It has a feeling. It's got that energy that I'm talking to you all about. That when you know, the first question you asked me today on the show, like, how do you know? Where do you get that energy to do? That energy we're brought to this world with. We all have this energy. So this elephant is like, I want to go do this. And it pulls, and it starts to, as it pulls and it tries like 20 times, 30 times, 100 times, it starts to create a belief system. Like, I'm not strong enough to pull this. I can't do this. And it starts to slowly give up. And as the elephant gets a bit bigger, they can replace the big chain for a smaller chain, because the elephant has started to limit itself with its conscious mind. And it's numbed itself. It's closed off from its energy of its capacities, that he knows what his right is. He knows that he's supposed. How does he know? He knows it. It came with him from above, from somewhere else. And as he grows, they replace, and this is true story, guys. I'm not making this up. This is not a folk tale. This is not a fairy tale or anything. So they will replace the huge, massive chain for a smaller chain, and to the point when the elephant is humongous. I don't even know how many tons an elephant has, actually. But you guys are knowing, like, you guys are imagining this massive elephant. They hold the elephant with a little insy little piece of rope that's like tiny. And the elephant will not tug. It won't push. It won't do anything. You know why? Because it believes that it can't. It believes, it created a belief system when it was only 1 year old or less that it couldn't. And it is like 70 years old now or 40 years old. And it believes that it can't. And when I was talking about, like, if we haven't numbed ourselves, that's the numbing I'm talking about. If we can reconnect to what we know, it's like, you can call it your inner child, you can call it your essence, you can call it your higher self, you can call it your divine energy, whatever you want to call it. It's the energy that lives inside of you. It's the energy that you feel when you're in love. It's not chemical. It's really an energy. It's an energy when you look at the moon and you're like, damn, something else is bigger than us. When you connect to that, you know things that no one can tell you. Your body has information for you that nobody else can tell you. And that is so important, to connect to that. And I don't even know what you asked me, but I'm like lost here. And
no, that is actually the answer. You know,
but look, this is like, we need to stop numbing ourselves. We need to stop telling ourselves that we're not able. We need to stop thinking that we know. We don't know. We don't know. And, you know, sometimes, like, I have this with myself. So, like, don't think that I'm I am in the learning process with you guys.
Me too.
Completely. And one thing that I constantly experience is, okay, what do I want now? And then the question will be like, well, I want that. And then you're like, well, you don't know how you're going to get there. And then you have to be like, okay, well, then it's not about what you want in the future, because the future doesn't exist. And you don't know if you do this, and someone says, Pat, if you do every day, you do like a podcast, you will become a billionaire in 5 years. That might not be true. There's nothing that's guaranteed. Life is not guaranteed. And more than ever, we know that now. Like, look what happened with this pandemic. So we can't live for the future. We have to live for the now. Like, what do you like to do now? What do you enjoy now? What is happening now? And you asked the question, I think, about how can people try to find the energy to do something good for themselves. And I think one of the first things that we've forgotten is how to actually, I always say, like, we're kind of like a disturbed species. We're the only species that does things that are bad for us knowingly. Like, there's no elephant or there's no lion that's like, I so
love this.
hungry.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do, Danah. I'm going to hold you right there because you are going to come back. We need to pick this up. And when you come back, you're going to pick a song and we're going to sing off key. Because
does it have to be off key?
You're going to sing off key. No, you can sing on key. I sing off key. But here's what I want to say. The beauty